Who knows?
This is all kind of tying into something that I heard David Icke. I don't know how to
Ike is
pronounce
how people
Ike.
say it. It rhymes
David
with
Icke.
dike, apparently.
Oh, well, that's not okay.
A dike is a dam.
Yes, a dike is a dam. Um, Now I'm off track. David Icke, he said something today in a video, or 3 days ago, I think, in a video, where, and I'll tweet this later, he is talking about how the goal of all of these people in like Silicon Valley and who are working on AI and making the internet into this self-perfecting machine, that the end goal is to get everybody like physically in the cloud, like the way that he kind of describes how language is created and monitored and controlled, and kind of everyone is made to think a set of thoughts and nothing else. Like there are very few people who kind of are making their own independent decisions and thoughts about things. That it's all being informed by the cloud, and like we're being told how to think and how to react to things, and that they're eventually going to try and sell it to us as like, well, you want to have the cloud installed because then you'll be superhuman and like you'll be able to do the things that computers do and blah 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 blah. But in reality, it's the computers who need us in order to become a singularity and destroy us like Terminator.
They need us to in order. Well, they okay. So they need us for what? Say that one more
In the
time.
sense that artificial intelligence is just an attempt to recreate real intelligence. So if they're able to not only like work with humanity but take it completely over, um,
Right.
then there is no balance. It's just the artificial.
Well, okay. So let me. So this is a good segue into what reality we live in, and I'm going to suggest it's a combination of three things, three popular culture references. I think it is The Matrix, it is The Truman Show, and it is The Sims, a massively multiplayer online role playing game. I think we're all part of a video game pretty much. And I think what Jay said about just programming us. So I do think, well, just like David Icke says, and I think some others say, is the world we're interpreting is just a question of interpreting vibrations and frequencies, and it has to do with the way we're tuned in and what the programming is that comes into us, and everything about everything is simply what's happening in your mind and what the inputs you're getting from your TV screen, especially from any media that they can spread this propaganda with, is designed to keep you in the state that feeds this fear matrix, that you have to stay in a constant state of anxiety and fear, and that's what that maintains the structure of the matrix. And everything we're seeing, it particularly now we can relate it to the news. They're trying to scare us with this stuff. The train crash, it's not real, people. I know this is controversial, but almost all the bad things that you've ever read about people doing and happening in the mind of this reporter, in the opinion of this reporter, consider it guilty until proven innocent, that it wasn't real and that it's designed to keep you in fear and to keep you in fear of other people and to keep you in anxiety about the world you live in being much, much more dangerous than it really is. They want you to be in fear of ordinary people, which is why all these people who commit these crimes are mentally ill, but they were always not just the nicest guy, quiet, because those people would never do anything, but they want you to be afraid of just, walking down the street. You got to be thinking about watching your back, because when they get you in that mind state, it's the same as if it were real. It's exactly the same as if it were real. And you can even die in the matrix if that's how you tune into it. You can also live forever in the matrix, the way the creator designed it.
I think the fear thing has definitely been something I've been struggling with lately. Um, Not coincidentally, as I feel like I'm walking more on my path of like where I need to be focusing my attention in life, the more terrified I get that like I'm doing everything wrong and nothing is going to work out and this is just a disaster and how dare I think I can, change the world for the better or whatever. Um, but I've noticed that when I let that feeling go and when I'm like, you know what, I'm not scared. Like, and even if I am, like, what is my other option to not go after what it is that I want? Like, just to kind of, I don't feel good about this. I'm kind of scared, so I'm not going to do it. No. And but it's so hard to get to that point, especially I think now, and especially when, we're in this age where we use an internet that is completely curated and controlled and we think that we're crazy whenever we see what everyone else is apparently thinking and
Right.
how it diverges from our own fears and reality.
Right. Right. You have more to add to that? You're on a roll.
Well, just in tandem with fear, I think the other big thing is, I don't know how to put it. We haven't really even talked about this before, but like avoidance or um it's just, I guess I can summarize it like this and then you can take it from here. I find it very disturbing that we live in a world where all of these awful things are purportedly happening, um, and or there's a giant, overarching thing controlling us. And people are still watching football. Like, why do you care about the football team? Like, the world is ending. If you believe what you see on the news, you should be scared and doing something about it. But instead, you're scared and hiding from it. And I think that is a very important determination because it's not that I don't feel fearful or scared. Like, I totally do. But I use that to have faith instead and to fight against it and to not give into it. But too many
Well,
people are watching TV shows and football and they care about it. They really care about it. And that's just gotten to me lately. I can't believe that's still happening.
well, I think you sent me something that Savage said. I think that well, the programming that we're getting through our TV screens, through our education and everything else is designed to keep us in a box and to keep us. Oh, there's Doshi. Good boy. Is designed to keep us in a box and to keep us afraid. And they create this, artificial scarcity where, we're just barely getting by, and we depend on some external. They always want us depending on external things to make us happy. Um, I forgot where I was going with that, but this it's well, what I was going to say about disconnecting from it and from fighting against it. Actually, I'm afraid to go too far off topic, Jay.
Okay,
What
let's
did
reel
you
it
drop me off? What did you drop me off with on that? It's funny.
back.
I get on a roll, but I do forget stuff from time to time.
Basically, how the two impulses that are ruining
Oh,
humanity.
there you go. So animal instincts. See, it's worth it when it's worth it, even though I got off track. So I think it was Savage that said you have to harness those animal instincts. And I was thinking about it actually today, is that how reaching enlightenment, whatever that is, and destroying the matrix at the same time, involves uh, involves understanding what your ancient programming is telling you to do, because what they do basically is hack. It's a hack where they throw stuff at you, stimuli, football, or cops killing black people, or black people punching white people in the face, that makes you react a certain way at the animal level, at the lizard brain level. And you have to be able to be aware of that programming and that you're susceptible to it, and to be able to harness the energy you get from it. That's where I was going with what you were saying, is you're talking about turning around that energy, right? Harnessing those kind of fears and then turning them the other way. So, and I think in this video game, it's designed a specific way to get us to reach enlightenment or die. I guess it's one or the other. And we're faced, or we're meant to face harder and harder challenges and fears, and overcome them. And we level up basically until we get closer and closer to that ultimate goal of breaking out of the matrix. but until then, everything that's thrown at us is to keep us within that. But we're meant to overcome it. We're equipped to. It's all meant to be. It's all part of the plan. Is I guess what I'm saying. And then that faith that it's all part of the plan is something that I've said practice it because like you kind of said it. Like if you have faith and then good things happen, you know, I get, and somebody was like, how do you practice having faith? You have to really have faith, right? But you do, you really have faith. You're like, I'm going to make it through this. Everything's going to be fine. God has a plan. And then things do go well. And then you got to remember that next time you face another fear where you try to, you know, control it all yourself or uh, beat your head into a wall trying to fix something when sometimes you just have to have faith that it's going to work out.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
think?
you got it.
So this fear matrix, it extends so far. So I started to think, again, it's controversial that everything is made up. So for example, we have a train crash today. I'm going
Mhm.
to show you my screen here. So, and I immediately think fake. I think bus crashes, train crashes, plane crashes. I think everything's fake now.
You sent me this link earlier in a message, and my response was something like, what do you think is fake about it, Nathan?
Right, right. And what did I say? I said I think that it was because only one person was dead and 100 were injured. And look at the mangled. So, and I just say, think they're guilty until proven innocent, because until they show you footage that really looks legitimate. Like I was thinking, you know, you see footage from like World War II, and I don't know how real that is either. But you see people get shot down. I mean, you see real violence and stuff, and you really believe it. You know, you're like, okay, that looks like it really happened. But this other stuff, you know, I just start to think it's all Hollywood. And I'm going to show you why I start to think that about this stuff, because I always get suspicious of witnesses. So I'm going to play a little of this real quick.
A woman coming out of the second car, I believe, who had
listen to this weirdo.
And then when I went to the front, the first car, I think the front car was essentially off the rails into on the track station.
All right, so it's not that interesting what he says, except that he's a goofball. But the thing I noticed here was right up here on the top right of the screen, his name, Leon Offengendon, back in Brussels. Leon Offengendon. Okay, we'll remember that. Now, back in Brussels, I know you're still looking at the screen. There was a guy that worked for Lockheed Martin. Do you remember that episode, Jay?
Sorry, I muted myself while the thing was on. Yeah, Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, remember that guy, Alan Meerbaum. Okay, so I looked him up. I looked up Alan Meerbaum, and he was calling in about Brussels. He had some whacked out story, and I looked him up on LinkedIn, and there you go. It would be big wig at Lockheed Martin. So I looked up this guy, Leon Offengendon, and I was laughing because they had to use a guy with a unique name, so he's easy to look up. Here's Leon Offengendon. Take a look at who he works for.
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. I mean, you got to be freaking kidding me. And I'm trying to think what he didn't do much, but you know, it's just globalist baloney. And I just and then when you think, okay, so the train crashes are fake, the police shootings are fake. What is the design? And I try to do patterns, Jay. That's what I'm good at. The only design I can think of is fear. That's like fear and division and fear of each other. And then that will manifest. That'll turn into, you know, people all segregating and being scared of each other and asking, and the police, everybody hates the police. The police are scared, you know, when they wouldn't have been otherwise, except for these manufactured events. That's why I think this is such a big deal right now, because the world's going to hell. Shit has hit the fan. And people need to realize real quick that the stuff that's making them crazy is all made up, you know, or at least they need to ask questions about why they're feeling crazy, like why white people are acting crazy, why black people are acting crazy, why Muslims are acting crazy, because it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people need to know that they're being played like a, you know, they're just acting out their parts. They're just being played like puppets. They're just doing what they're supposed to do. And people should be really concerned that they're reacting exactly the way they're supposed to react and that they're not in control of themselves, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's been weird seeing people who I knew or who I knew kind of turn into these talking point espousing, just angry, like very passionately angry people all the time. And as someone who could have very easily been on that path, I understand it, but it's also like I want to know what can be done, like anything that I can do to make it so less people are trapped in that kind of mindless fear and anger. I want to do. But it's more challenging than I thought it would be. The
It's
reality
amazing.
of it.
You know, and I can relate because I've been there. I was a conspiracy theorist denier. I would totally yell at people that were into it. I thought it was a waste of time, totally counterproductive, blah, blah, blah. Which is why I'm doing my penance doing this. So I understand it. It's just a wall between you because you can't accept that the world can be that much different than the construct you're living in. It's just too overwhelming. It's too upsetting.
Mm.
Um, so you have to introduce it to people the right way, which is, well, the thing is learning about it, about this stuff, conspiracy theories, or the fact that Keith Lamont Scott wasn't shot. At first, it's scary, but the reason we tell people about it and we tell them it's important is it's a part of enlightenment, is learning that what you believed wasn't true, because then makes you begin to question yourself. And when you start to ask questions about the world you live in and reality and the way things might really be, that's when you start to elevate. And that's when things really start to change materially in your universe. So, people need to know and they need to know that the reactions they're having, like, why are they having them? It's because it's a design, it's all programming, you know people need to get control. Like, people need to realize why they feel racial, like those ways about a particular racial group, or why they have reactions like they do to the news, because it's because we're programmed to do that. We need to harness that. We need
Do you,
to control our minds, take
do
control
you,
of our minds back.
I agree. Um, do you think we've reached some kind of like tipping point or saturation point? I don't know, but in that people who aren't awake to what's going on now, are they going to awaken? Like, I feel like maybe there's a deadline that we're passing or approaching as
Well,
far as I just like your thoughts on that, because
okay.
I know it's very frustrating to talk to some people and just be like, why can't we have a conversation? Like, there's like a wall, whether it's of like ignorance or anger or just disinterest that goes down. And I'm like, there's no way anything's ever going to get through to you. What do you think
Yeah,
when
you give up
do
on
you
those
have those
people.
thoughts?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
give up on those people. I mean, it's just, I read the verse from the Bible about the watchman, or being a watchman, is watchman sounds like somebody who's selling watches on the corner. A watchman, you tell people, you tell everybody. And then if people don't want to listen, that's up to them. They're in God's hands. At least their blood isn't on your hands, pretty much. And but I do think that there will come a point where people, that when the thing is, it's hard for people to accept a new version of reality unless their current reality has been shaken up. And so while this construct holds, and while people are still able to live in relative comfort in their fear box, they're going to be much less likely to question it because there's no reason to. It's like my dad, like, I don't want to know about it because, I'm 72 years old. Like, I feel great, everything's fine for me. Why do I want to learn things are fucked up? So but once things happen, I should have talked about like Deutsche Bank's about to explode. Like, if the stock market crashes again, or people suddenly start getting laid off and stuff, then people might wake up, because this media thing, I think, will be the death of media. and people will wake up in larger quantities. It won't be everyone, but it will be enough to, you know, disconnect enough power going to the matrix. That's what we have to do. We have to stop feeding this matrix, and then it'll fall apart really, really quick. And it can for everybody. You have to think, I don't know, you have to think that every person can be saved. Now, there are a lot of things out there that aren't really people anymore, like the Clintons and like a lot of the people in government and stuff. Like I just don't think of them as people. So I don't think of them as being able to be saved. And God will have his judgment on them. And I don't, you know, I'm not talking about being violent or anything, but they'll get their rewards. And they're evil. They're pure evil entities. Other people are just like I was, and they're just temporarily taken over by evil, and they don't realize it, and they need to be reborn as something less than evil. Like I believe happened to me when when I died and was reborn. I told you about that before.
Yes.